beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. Here. Ha! How you doing? I've got an interesting one for you. Breaking. Is it breaking? I don't think it's breaking. It's been up for a few hours, but it's one that you might have missed because it's not sort of in the purview. That's a good word, isn't it? I like the word purview. It's not in the purview of you, dear good readers, watchers, and listeners. Before you do that, become a warrior teacher. Come and join us in April. It's going to be great. I need more of you. Buy me a coffee, usual stuff. Other than that, go on. Let's go. So I'm interested today in censorship. Let's talk about censorship. Now, I am anti-censorship, which is of no surprise, I'm sure, to most of you, in that I'm not a huge fan of the government being able to censor stuff. And I sincerely hope that most of you are exactly the same. The problem with censorship is it's the thin end of the wedge, isn't it? It always is. So censorship starts small. There was a thing called the video nasties debacle going back in the 1980s, where the censorship got so bad they nearly passed a law in Parliament that would have made Schindler's List illegal. See, we must stop the video nasties. Okay, great. If we vote on this, Schindler's List will be illegal. All right, okay. Stop. Just goes to show that even in the 80s, Parliament could be utterly insane, though not quite as insane as what we're dealing with today, I would argue. So I was very interested to come across this particular tweet from Andrew Torba, T-O-R-B-A, Andrew Torba, or @based Torba, in which he says, this was 26th March, breaking. The UK government has demanded that Gab. Now, Gab AI is a website that provides information and various services, image generation, the type of thing that Grok or ChatGPT does. The UK government has demanded that Gab submit to a new censorship regime under the UK Online Safety Act, threatening massive fines, 18 million euros or 10% of our annual revenue. Good God. For not policing speech. We will not comply. We will not pay 1 cent. We will defend our UK users' rights to speak freely and reject any law that compels censorship. Their letter and the response from our legal team is attached. So, can you imagine that the UK Ofcom, they now call them, Ofcommunists, I think is appropriate, have written to an American company saying, obey the laws of Britain or else. The Americans must have sort of looked over the top of their coffee cup and gone, who? Who? What do we think? It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So let's take a look at what the letter says, because I've got it here, right? Advisory letter, illegal content risk assessment, your duties under Online Safety Act 2023. As you can see, they're dated the 26th of March to Gab AI Incorporated from Ofcom. We are contacting you from the Office of Communications, the UK's communications regulator. Ofcom is the regulator for online safety in the UK under the UK's Online Safety Act 2023, which created a new regulatory framework with the purpose of making regulated online services safer for UK users. Regulated online services safer for UK users. So it's a regulated service, i.e. it's what they deem to be a regulated service. And oh gosh, how important it is that you're safe online when you're sat in front of your computer on your own in your office or on your phone in your front room with a cup of tea and a Claire. Yep, I can see the reasoning for this, can't you? The Act imposes duties on a range of online service providers, including to keep people who use their service safe from illegal content. Safe from illegal content. Safe from illegal content. What do they deal with safe from people that are actually doing illegal stuff? I don't get this kind of mentality. These duties cover the following types of online services, which they call regulated services. User-to-user services, which allow users to share content with other users or to interact with each other. Right, so everything then. Essentially, WhatsApp, Signal, everything. Search services, which allow users to search more than one website or database for information, websites, or other content. So there you go, everything plus everything. And in totality, we Ofcom want to control everything. They sent this to an American company. Now, it continues. On the basis of information available to us, we consider that GAB is likely to fall within the scope of the Act. You think? You've just described the entire internet, and now you're going likely to fall. They know what this is. It's pure online censorship, likely to fall within scope of the Act as a provider of a user-to-user service that is available to UK users. Certainly, certain duties under the Act are now in effect, and if you're in scope, you are therefore required to take steps to comply with these. First, all providers of regulated services are required to carry out an illegal content risk assessment by the 16th of March 2025. They sent this on the 25th. Just weirdos, right? That's obviously what they expected people to do. An illegal content risk assessment by the 16th of March 2025. So if I've got a website or WhatsApp group in my business where I interact with my users and they interact with me about a specific subject, am I covered? Have I got to do one of these as well? It's just insane. This means that you must assess the risk of harm on your service associated with priority offences. And then it's got a little number, says 5, which would be the priority offences, and other illegal content. Ofcom's guidance recommends that priority offences, that's a word, isn't it? What does that mean? It means the ones they want to deal with first before they come for the rest of it? I don't know. Ofcom's guidance recommends a 4-step methodology for carrying out risk assessments that will help you comply with your duties. The purpose of this assessment is to ensure you understand your risks so that you can put in place appropriate safety measures to mitigate identified risks. So in other words, there's a 4-step process to censoring, and we've got it written out for you so that you can do it. Go censor. Second, all providers of regulated services are required to keep a record of the risk assessment. So now you've got not just a risk assessment to do, you've also got to have a record of that risk assessment. They're building a bureaucracy of censorship. The Act requires you to make and keep a written record in an easily understandable form of all aspects of every legal content risk assessment, including detail about how the assessment was carried out and its finding. Ofcom's guidance on record keeping and review sets out what the risk assessment record should include. Failure to comply with the Act may result in enforcement action, including financial penalties of £18 million or up to 10% of a regulated service's worldwide revenue, whichever is greater. So this is Ofcom, right? Sending this to a company in America. Have they sent them to people in Finland and Sweden? They must have. They must have sent them all. Because some little bureaucrat somewhere going, oh, this is like having the biggest honeypot in the world. Right, who should I pick on first? That's what it is. Upcoming legally binding information. How do you legally bind another country where your laws don't apply? Ofcom has launched an enforcement program an enforcement program. Here we go. What are we going to do? Censorship. What for? Safety. Right? And how are you going to make sure it works? Enforce it. They've launched this enforcement program to monitor whether regulated services across the sector have complied with their duty to complete and keep a record of an illegal content risk assessment, and to monitor how our risk assessment guidance and record keeping guidance are being applied by industry. As part of this program, we are requiring a number of service providers, including GAB AI Inc., to send us a copy of the record of the illegal content risk assessments relating to their service or services. These services have been selected because Ofcom considers that the size and or nature of its service is such that it may present particular risks of harm to UK users from illegal content. Right. We will be sending you a legally binding information notice on or around the 3rd of April 2025, requiring you to submit the record of the illegal content risk assessment relating to your service or services by the 17th of April 2025. The information request will set out what we expect you to provide and how to respond. So they're going to send more information. Here's how you've got to do it. You must get it right. You've got to do it for us. Right? Absolutely extraordinary. And then we've got from GAB AI, it's interesting too, you see here, GAB AI have responded to that by their legal team, have sent a letter to Ofcom, and we've got access to that letter as well. So this is particularly of interest to see how they responded to this kind of request, which will be going to Twitter or Facebook. It'll be going to everybody. Just get it right. Anybody Ofcom sits there, who are we going to go after this morning? I don't know. Right, well, we need a mechanism for deciding who will go after it. Right, what do you want to do then? I'll tell you what, let's get 10 categories. So size of organisation, 50 to 150, and then we'll do 150 to 500, 500 to 1,000. Employee-wise, you mean? Yeah, employee-wise. So if we get that, 10, then what we'll do is after that, we'll have the day of the week, and then we'll have the time of the day. And then we'll just cross-reference them all, and we can use that simple equation. We'll roll a dice. Whatever number comes up first, that's who we'll pick on today. Right, and that's not censorship then. Oh, no, it's just safety. Sirs, that's all it says. I love it. It's so dismissive. Sirs, this law firm represents Gab AI Inc. We write in response to your letter addressed to my client dated the 26th of March 2025 regarding the Online Safety Act 2023, the Act. My client is a US company with no presence outside of the United States. The most fundamental of American laws, the First Amendment to our Constitution, ensures Gab's right to provide a service that allows anyone, anywhere, to receive and impart political opinions of any kind, free from state interference, on its US-based servers. This should not come as a surprise to Ofcom, as this position was communicated by counsel on behalf of my client to the UK Home Office in 2023. So the Home Office they went, no, right, free speech, okay, First Amendment, and told the Home Office, you're living in cloud cuckoo land. Remember, this was all of the political parties voted for this censorious nonsense, all of them. That's because the Brits are like, they're the parents, aren't they? The politicians of the elite. The British can't cope with anything, so what we're going to do? Well, just, treat them like we're in the nursery, pen them in. Okay, we'll just pen them in then. How are you going to do that? Now let's think about online safety. That'll do it. We can use that as a great tool, because we can make it so expansive it covers everything we ever want it to, so that when it's the right time to go after somebody, we can go after them without having to worry about a law needing to do it. Does that sound like a good idea to you? It's all a bit thick of it, isn't it? Thick of it, right? Much in America has changed since then. He's talking about 2023. We've obviously had the change of things like Donald's coming, you see. The Act is, at its core, a censorship law. Per Executive Order 14149 of January the 20th, 25, which was passed by Orange Man, it is now the policy of the United States to ensure that no United States agent or agency facilitates the censorship of American citizens. It is also the policy of the United States to use tariffs to combat digital censorship. This is just great. Per the Presidential Memorandum on Defending American Companies and Innovators from Overseas Extortion and Unfair Fines and Penalties, dated February the 21st, 2025. So what Trump's done is he said, we ain't having this, right? They aren't doing it. These bunch of censorious little wobblers on that dirty little island just left to Europe. No, we're not having it. And just to make sure that we're not having it, we'll put in place another policy, which means that we will essentially put tariffs on them if they try to extort money from us by using this censorious regime, and then the state blackmail that subsequently follows. That's what he's done. It's brilliant, isn't it? Accordingly, my client will today be referring this matter to the US Trade Representative and the US Department of Justice for further action. My client does not consider censorship of its website a matter which is open to discussion. Accordingly, please be advised that my client will not be providing any response to future correspondence from Ofcom. This will not affect my client's usual prompt cooperation on law enforcement matters concerning public safety. My client reserves all rights and waives none. Now, so here we go, right? So I thought, well, let's have a look. Let's have a mosey and find out what's so wrong with this act that, Trump has had to pass laws saying, if you mess about with speech using this horrible little act of yours, we're going to put tariffs on your on your country, right? So I asked Grok. I thought, here, we'll give Grok go. Let's have Grok in. So I'm pleased to announce here, just a short interview with Grok. How you doing? You all right, mate? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. So here you are, 5 worst-case scenarios for free speech under the UK Online Safety Act 2023, based on its most contentious elements. In other words, picked out, one of the most difficult bits. Mass censorship of legal speech. Platforms, fearing hefty fines, could overzealously remove vast swaths of lawful content. Think political critiques or edgy satire. If I had a child, I'd name it that. What's your child called? Edgy. Edgy what? Edgy satire. Due to the vague, harmful content definition, silencing legitimate voices. So there you go. There's the first one. Mass censorship of legal speech. Right? It doesn't say anything about it needing to be illegal. They can pick what they want. Private chats monitored. If encryption is undermined, which they intend to do, authorities could scan end-to-end encryption messages for illegal content, leading to a dystopian erosion of private dissent and whistleblowing. Ofcom's speech dictator. Ofcom's unchecked power might evolve into de facto censorship, arbitrarily banning opinions on a topic it seems risky, bypassing courts and public input. That's so important, Global speech stifled. Non-UK users posting from freer jurisdictions, for example, the US, could face penalties or platform bans for speech legal at home, shrinking the global exchange of ideas. Independent voices crushed, with recognised news publishers exempt. So the BBC and all that lot, mainstream media, they're exempt. This is so blatantly an attempt to control the media landscape and only give access to the media that happens to be okay with the current government, which this current government I wouldn't trust as far as I could throw them with anything. And they blatantly proved they're untrustworthy, horrible swines, or as I call them, communists, because that's what Ofcommunists still makes me laugh, right? So, in other words, it's, news publishers, fine. But citizens journalists or bloggers might be disproportionately targeted, leaving public discourse dominated by corporate media, which in essence returns us to a situation before Elon Musk bought X, and we were finally able to see that actually we've been lied to on a lot of things, not all the things, but a lot of things. And also bear in mind Hannon's razor. It's not being done because there's some overarching conspiracy. It's just that people are stupid, and most people don't give a damn. They're very quiet about what's going on with media, so it's to be expected. Look, this is not a left or right issue. I'm having to keep saying this. It's not a left or right issue. But this is one case, and I imagine there are more that are going to happen shortly, because there'll be more going on. If they sent one letter, they've sent a dozen, because they've got to find something for their bureaucratic nitwits to do, right? Otherwise, they can't grow Ofcom, can they? So it becomes the global censor it wants to be, because that's what this Lord's attempting to do. It is not a left or right issue. You got to take your partisan knickers off. It doesn't matter where you are, left, right, or middle. Take your knickers off, not literally, but your partisan knickers, right? Get them off. Okay. This is about being orientated towards freedom or towards authoritarianism. Pick a direction, for God's sake, and get off the fence. There is no nuance in this. None. Okay. We absolutely need free speech. We absolutely need free access to information, and the curtailment of that should only be done when it comes to serious harm and anything that is already covered by the law. This is something else. It doesn't need a huge regime to do it. The police just need to do their job when it comes to sorting out the people that are breaking the law. They'll do it in the name of terrorism and children. That's what they'll do, because they always damn well do. Don't believe a word, not one single word of what's going on, because it isn't true. And that's the problem, is the gullible British will go, yeah, we'll have it. Yeah, okay, we must protect the kids. Oh, those terrorists. If terrorists aren't going to just go somewhere else or design a programme that the government's got no effect over whatsoever, or perhaps just send a letter. The same goes for the protection of children. You want to protect your children? Be the parent. You want to protect children? Be the parent. You want to protect your children? Bring your community together to understand what's happening, so that we can teach children properly about how to navigate the online space. Or better still, let's get under 13s off the internet altogether and smartphones out of schools. Gosh, no. What should we do? Let's have a censorship law that attempts to get its nasty, sticky little fingers on every company on the planet. We are so nuts. It's air. Granny Britain. What? I don't think you're quite as important as you think you are. You tell me, because as far as I'm concerned, this is horrendous. But I'll see you later. Goodness knows. Bye-bye.